Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Fagem Radian here at the Dubai Air Show, where our coverage is sponsored by FLIR. Most of the time, everybody has a tendency of thinking about the pointy airplanes when it comes to air operations over theater, but not the bigger airplanes that actually make all the magic happen. And we've got with us Captain Dave Cooke, who is with the 960th Air Control Squadron over at sunny Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma. Sir, thanks very much for giving us some of your time.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you very much.
And you don't have a call sign, and we'll get to that in a little while, because that's pretty extraordinary. I don't think I've ever met an aviator without a call sign. But I want to start off first with the mission you guys provide. In all seriousness, folks know about the troops on the ground, and folks may understand about the strike assets and the fighters and the unmanned aircraft and even the refuelers and the cargo, but sometimes don't pay as much attention to actually the E-3 community that's such a critical air battle managers that are airborne, monitoring the air picture, monitoring on the ground, being communications relays, and of course now with the tremendous added capability that the airplane has that gives it so many more features than it even had a decade or so ago. Talk to us a little bit about the mission you guys perform on a daily basis to support military forces worldwide, but particularly and even guys who are on the ground.
Well, you mentioned all those different missions that everybody pays attention to, and we actually have a role in all those missions, making sure that the pointy nose aircraft get their fuel. Or our missions really vary. They can be command and control, search and rescue, just traffic deconfliction, and it varies day to day. So our guys are they're very flexible, and they have to be flexible each day because the mission changes. So very proud that we're able to be a part of so many different missions, and just take part in a variety, a wide variety of missions that the Air Force takes part in.
Let me ask you a little bit, without getting into specifics. You guys are the ultimate extension of precision to make sure that everybody is exactly where they need to be at all times, whether for borders, whether within operational constraints, and there isn't anything more challenging than some of the aerospace. We talked to the F-15E crew from the 336th Fighter Squadron that's just over here to our back, and they talked about some of the challenges, of the, a very, very tough airspace environment, on the Syrian side with the Russians who have surface-to-air missiles. They've got fighter assets that are in the air also. How much of a bigger challenge, how much greater focus does that bring to the entire operation when you know that it's a lot more of a contested, challenging environment you're operating in than relatively benign airspace where you guys are still providing a very important role, but now much higher stakes internationally?
Well, I think the stakes are always high, and it's everything. Every mission's going to be there's going to be a challenge, and so there's always a challenge involved. I think that the job that we've been able to do and continue to do has really been a testament to the way that we train. We have a lot of different of career fields of mission crew members, and they have to be trained in a wide variety of aspects. And so I think that every day we try to train and get better at those things, and so we're always improving, and that obviously helps and improves the capability of our airframe as a whole. And so I think we've improved. I've only been on station for 3 years, and I've just seen really people work very, very hard to improve, to get better, so that we can provide the situational awareness, whatever these guys need, whatever your F-15s, your F-22s, whatever they need, so we can provide the information that they need to be successful.
What are some of the biggest challenges you guys face, because you're flying very, very long missions? Talk to us about some of the challenges you guys face in doing the job.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is probably just how the mission can change from day to day. You never know what you're going to show up to do. You never know how things can happen, because everything's done live, and so you may think that you're going to show up and one thing's going to happen at this time, and something completely different happens. So I think the main challenge is just being prepared for any and every type of challenge that comes up.
Let me ask you, one of the challenges is this is not a spring chicken of an airframe. It's a 1978. In fact, Bruce Johnson, who's the operations director of Orbis, which is the flying eye hospital that goes all around the world, actually flew this tail number. Wow. When he was in the Air Force. He was a maintainer, but also a flight engineer on the airplane when there were flight engineers. So talk to us a little bit about, you've got the older engines on it. You've got a lot of upgraded systems on it, fortunately. Is the airplane as up as you guys always want it to be?
Well, we're not quite at 100%, and that's what we shoot for, but we're pretty close. And I think that's pretty impressive when you're talking about an aircraft that's been around for 40 years. I think our maintenance squadron does a great job. We have a great relationship with them. They do really excellent work. They're always training to get better and to keep the jets flying. And so, especially when you have all these moving parts on the aircraft, it's a 707, but obviously there are a few different parts to it. And so it requires a little bit more work. And they do a great job keeping it up and keeping it running. And we've been pretty successful getting off the ground and just continuing to fly the mission.
And from a system standpoint, there have been a lot of upgrades to the airplane. Is it, I remember a long time ago, there were latency issues. There were, on the original generation of the airplane, the taping system was very, very antiquated. When you guys went into a bank and an orbit, you guys really, the trick was also maintaining tracks all the time, given that, you'd lose that. Talk to us about the added capability you got with all of these improvements that have gone into the airplane over the past number of years.
Well, certainly, there have been quite a few improvements made, and we're trying to get better every day. I think that the new 4045 block that's been installed, our guys are starting to really get trained up on that, and they really have seen a difference. And so, things that would seem small are now small, whereas they used to be with the old block. They were kind of big problems. Things that shouldn't have been big issues were big issues because it was older technology. So with the newer technology and with the training that goes along with that, it would just become a much more efficient airframe.
And let me ask you about the question of call sign. So how is it you escaped a call sign?
Yeah, they usually reserve that for the fighter guys. In the E-3, you talked about the pointy nose aircraft, and they're kind of the tip of the spear as well. So we're kind of in the background. We have a role to play, and everybody has their role to play. I don't think the call sign is really the E-3 guys' thing. It's very unique.
You guys are too cool for call signs. You're like,
I don't know about that. I wouldn't say that.
Well, it's a tremendous mission, and none of it happens without you, sir. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, and great honor to be at the Dubai Air Show.